Hey, Jeffka, I remember this place from over 15 years ago, I think. Been on the island a while, and it
Hey,
used to look very different back then.
yes, do you remember people didn't even want to be walking in this area? I remember how it was.
The houses did not look like this. A lot of houses were, the inhabitants were, well, people who had no other place to live.
Yes, indeed. And no colors. The colors have been there before, but then they faded away. And well, it was very sad, as
Yeah.
a matter of fact.
What about the roof tiles, the dakpannen?
Yeah, look at them now. It's so nice to be walking, not only in Pietermai,
Mhm.
but in all the 4 districts of Willemstad.
Pietermai, Otterdam,
Scarlo,
and
Punda,
Punda.
yes.
We're getting there. A lot has changed. Look at Pietermai now. Look at the different other areas. Look at Scharlo. Look
Let's
at
not even talk about Otrabanda. What
City
happened
Otterdam.
there?
Yeah.
Yes, and all people say that whole of Otrabanda with all its murals and so forth is Instagrammable. So people
Instagram.
come from all over the world to sit there on the on the stairs. You remember?
I think Peter Mai is also Instagrammable. Who has taken an Instagram selfie today in Peter Mai?
Yeah.
You did. At least one person. All right. Don't forget before you leave tonight, post a picture of on your Instagram of tonight or of one of the streets of Peter Mai. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. The reason why we're speaking in English is because we're filming all of this. This is being live broadcasted right now for different viewers all over the world, international audience. Welcome to everybody right here. Welcome, Mr. Minister Charles Cooper.
Yes, we see a lot of well-known faces. Welcome being here on the 4th edition of Invest in Willemstad. It started small and now it has has so many nice results. Maybe you don't see many people sitting here, but what has been achieved throughout these 4 years is a lot. And today we will be seeing more of it.
Absolutely. Do we still need to make people enthusiastic about investing in Willemstad because it's going so well?
Yes, because why not? What is good can still be improved. So that is the aim. We believe that there is so much potential, so much possibilities that can still be used, that can still be changed into great results. So that's why we continue doing this. And let me see, yes, there he is standing, Rob van den Berg. It was his idea 4 years ago, and he gathered a lot of people around him to start a movement, you can say. So yes, there is still reason to involve people and get people enthusiastic.
And is it just about investing, or is it more?
It is more, of course. It is developing. It is making Willemstad the place to be on earth. That people will have to say, well, have you not been in Willemstad yet? Don't you have a property there yet? Well, too late now. That is what we aim for.
Late to the party, exactly. And so it's not about investing, just investing. It's about developing, making something beautiful for the generations to come. And that is the whole idea and the whole purpose of this meeting. Thank you all for being here.
And don't forget that we this year are celebrating 25 years of Willemstad on the UNESCO World Heritage List. So that is something great as well.
Absolutely.
So yes, people, are you feeling the vibe? Yes, yes.
6 people are feeling the vibe. Are you feeling the vibe? All right.
And we chose specifically to be here amongst where everything is happening. You can actually seeing buildings being renovated right now. And this is what we want to see in whole of Willemstad.
Exactly. I think we should make a date for 6 months from now and see what has happened to that building over there, because I'm really curious about it, and I hope you are too. And then we're seeing the possibilities, and we know there are a lot of possibilities. All of you do already know that.
But Maarten, since you mentioned 6 months from now, let's just pitch this idea. We have been doing this every year for 4 years, but it should be ongoing throughout the year. We should not wait until it's almost the end of the year and then get together. We should get together all the time. We should have our catalogs with buildings that are there to be invested in. We should meet each other and discuss plans all the time. So I think that at the end of today's session at 7:30, we will ask for people to raise their hands to be in a small, I would say, community that will be working on this program, on this project throughout the year. We don't need many people, but people who love this and who really would like to be part of the big things that are going to come. Yes?
Absolutely. And this day is all about bringing people together, because the properties that need to be renovated are there, the neighborhoods are there, the people are there, but today is all about bringing everyone together. So we have quite some interesting speakers, and ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce the first one to open this this Invest in Willemstad officially. Ladies and gentlemen, you all know him as the head of the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Billy Jonker.
Buon tardi. No presentation. No. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, on behalf of the Curaçao Chamber of Commerce, I would like to welcome you to this event. A special welcome as well to our international participants following us through Zoom. And last but not least, but it has to be first, is Minister Cooper. Welcome. I will keep it short so that we can go down to business and review the latest updates and invest in Willemstad. The Chamber has a long history of being the startup of initiatives in favor of downtown Willemstad. From the creation of DMO, Downtown Management Organization, to recently presented report on the duty-free shopping, to contributing to start, co-organizing and continuation of Invest Willemstad. The Chamber proactively participates in the organizing committee since the start of the first physical summit in 2019. Because we as Curaçao have to do things differently to reach more favorable results. Back then in 2019, Rob indicated that based on research, that there is a potential of investment of over 800 million guilders in Willemstad in the next 5 to 10 years. In the meantime, we are 3 years after our first event. What do you think happened with this potential, seeing the pandemic hit Curaçao in March 2020 and continued in another lockdown in 2021? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to tell you that based on personal experience that we can admire with our own eyes in every district in Willemstad, did not stop moving during these pandemic years, and that a part of this potential is being potentially recognized, realized as we speak. But we can do this better to accelerate the potential. We think it's important for you as local, Dutch or international investor or entrepreneurs to be aware of the developments, the possibilities and opportunities after this seminar. With every year that passes, that these plans do not remain on paper, but are translated into visible actions and projects. It is of utmost importance to grab the chance to develop our own downtown in the districts Otrobanda, Pietermai, Punda, Scarlo, and continue to stimulate their growth. With the opportunity that are in front of us, we trust that this can lead to a vibrating downtown with positive and innovative economic development for Curaçao in general. Our efforts will not stop here or continue on this level. We hope that we can gear up together and count on all stakeholders to organize another physical summit and have international investors seeing these developments with their own eyes and feel the Willemstad vibes positively and personally. Ladies and gentlemen, let's analyze the different developments going on in 4 different districts, and if needed, give our full cooperation to the development and realization. An impulse in these projects is a direct effect of our economic development, labor force, construction sector, and product development, propelling new tourism growth and a vibrating World Heritage City. Before I finish, I'm going to ask everybody that we have somebody that passed away 2 years ago that was one of the initiators together with Rob for this project, Hans de Boer. A man who loved this island, even though he lived half of the year here, half of the year in Holland. But without his help, together with Rob, this would not have happened. So I ask everybody, let's have 1 minute of silence to remember Hans de Boer. If you can stand up. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, also before I end, we do not realize what we have here in Willemstad. And I'm happy to see what is happening in Willemstad right now. I'm sure not only my dream, but all of our dreams to see the Willemstad come back to its old glory. And believe me, it's happening. Thank you very much and enjoy the seminar. Thank you.
Thank you too, Billy Jonker. You have been here from the start, every single edition. So you know, as one of the few, how we started and where we are now. And the same counts for our next speaker. I welcome Caroline Manuel. She is Sector Director at the Ministry of Traffic, Transportation and Spatial Planning. And she was there as from the start as well. And we know that her heart is with this work. So with you, ladies and gentlemen, Caroline Manuel.
Okay. And will I see it? Yep. Thank you. Minister, invitees, friends of Willemstad, welcome. This is a river city in Argentina, and you can still see the historic skyline. But this is not a World Heritage City. This is. You saw the difference? We're talking about Willemstad. It was mentioned, a World Heritage Site. Since it's a World Heritage Site, we need to put the framework, and within this framework, the development. The framework is all about UNESCO and World Heritage. We are one of the 5 capital cities in the Caribbean. Santo Domingo, Habana, Cuba, Bridgetown, Barbados, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and Willemstad. We are one of the 12 World Heritage Sites within the kingdom, only one outside of the Netherlands. 11 in the Netherlands. And UNESCO World Heritage is in Curacao a joint responsibility of the Ministry of Education because of the fact that it is UNESCO, and the Minister of Traffic, Transport and Urban Planning because of the fact that it is World Heritage. World Heritage is related to a treaty, an international treaty. And why did World Heritage become such an important element that a treaty was needed? Because in the 50s, when in Egypt they wanted to build a dam, it needed that some of the temples would be destroyed. And an international movement started up and said, those temples are not only the property of Egypt, they are property of the world. They are heritage of the world. We cannot let this happen. And what was decided was that the dam would come, but that the temples would be removed. And at that moment, that international movement led to a convention to safeguard heritage that would be heritage of the world and not only of one country. This year, the convention celebrates its 50th anniversary. It was accepted in 1992 by the Netherlands, and Curacao also ratified the convention. At this moment, the convention knows 167 state parties and 1,155 sites all over the world. We are one of them. You can see that you cannot see Europe because it's overprotected with sites. And if you look at the Caribbean, there is an underrepresentation of World Heritage on the World Heritage list. There is a Caribbean program working on that part. And if we look at the Kingdom of the Netherlands, at this moment, there are 3 potential nominations for the upcoming years. The Bonaire Marine Park, the Eisinga Planetarium in Holland, and the plantations in Western Curacao. So that would mean if we go through 2 more sites in the Caribbean, and if we make it as Curacao, we would only be the 2nd island in the Caribbean to have more than 1 World Heritage city. Only Cuba would beat us with 9 sites. But why is it so important? Why the whole World Heritage list, and why feeling great about it? CNN Travel mentions the World Heritage list as a brand name. My travel research surveys show that cultural and heritage tourism is a fast growing and high yielding sector. That is just what the Curacao government was aiming for, the high-end tourist and not a mass tourism. So leading to the qualities and the branding of World Heritage, in the 90s, the Curacao government started a process to declare Willemstad a protected townscape. This was to counterattack the negative spiral of the 80s. In the 80s and the 70s, people were leaving the inner city, companies were leaving the inner city, and this process was intended to lead to counterattack it and bring life back to the city. Part of it would be the World Heritage nomination. I'm struggling with the, that would be the cherry on the cake with regards to historic Willemstad. The dossier to get on the list means you have to look at the values. You have to look at the authenticity, the integrity, and you have to do a comparative analysis to show the world how unique you are, what makes you property and heritage of the world. We can see it in various elements if we walk in our city. We see it in the structure, we see it in the roofs, we see it in the way architecture was adapted to our climate. And we started a program, amongst others, about protecting our monuments. About 50% of all monuments in the historic city is protected. And we applaud new monuments for the future. The attention was not only for the built environment, but also the counterpart of the built environment, the open areas. You can see on the pictures the before and after of the Bredestraat Punda, and you can see the design for the Plaza Jojo Korea in Punda. What is more important nowadays is the people, ehinde. We see an approach that is bottom up. We see an approach with commitment. We see an approach with ownership. It was mentioned that investments are striving, but it is very important that with those investments, we also consider the local people and the people living and caring for those areas. So we celebrate. We did a pretty good job the last 25 years. But if we want to celebrate the next 25 years, we should be aware of some challenges. Challenges of losing monuments. Challenge of empty stores. We have to change to a new concept in our inner city. The challenge of what we call in Dutch, schoon, heel en veilig. If we look down, we see the behavior of the visitor. If we look up, we see the behavior of the owner with the air conditionings. We see neglect. We see dilapidation. We see reluctance. We see a rapidly changing climate. We could all experience the effects of the rainfall during the last 2 weeks. In a city like Palmyra, buildings are lost because of war. And the World Heritage Center has attention for this. The challenge of new buildings. We have to be careful with new constructions. We've made it to Paris with our new hospital and we got no report, so that was okay. But if you look like a city like Liverpool, that was nominated as a historic center and its docklands, they went to a struggle from 2012 when they were put on the World Heritage List in danger by the UNESCO World Heritage Center. Why? Because they had lots of plans for their waterfront development. And when the city council approved the building of the Everton Stadium in 2021, the World Heritage Center decided to take Liverpool off the World Heritage List. Only the third site to lose that status. Willemstad was nominated as an inner city with its harbor. So we should be very careful how we think of interventions in our harbor if we look at the consequences it had for Liverpool. Another challenge would be proper management of the inner city. We're trying to do so with the capacity we have, but of course, this is still a challenge. Quality. We have projects in the pipeline. we're working on the execution of the Bredestraat Otrobanda, the Kaya Godet. For the architects, we have a brochure with quality guidelines for interventions on details. And we have various projects, let's call it under construction for the inner city. And what is needed above this all would be the common vision. We have to do this together. So the answer to why is because our heritage is patrimonio di mundo. And if we, it doesn't only contribute to our identity, but if we do it well, it will be inclusive, safe, resilient, and future-proof. Just do the right thing right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carolina Manuel, Sector Director of the Ministry, the Secretary of Traffic, Transportation and Urban Planning. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some interesting speakers coming up. We have representatives from all the 4 neighborhoods of the center of Willemstad, Ponda, Otrobanda, Scarlo, and right here in Pieter Maai. And we asked them to do something creative. We asked them to collect, to show you 5 different pictures and tell their story with those 5 pictures. And that is going to happen later. So this is a small tease for you guys to keep paying attention because that is coming up. Right now, I would like to invite the next speaker, and the title of his small speech is going to be Trade or Not to Trade, Cherishing Monuments in Changing Times. What that all means, we are going to hear from the chairman of the Stichting Monumentenzorg Curaçao, Herbert van der Woude.
Thank you, Martin. Minister Cooper, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First of all, thank you, Rob van den Berg, for and all the other organizers, of course, of this great event, Invest in Willemstad, for the invitation. It's an honor for me as a chairman of the supervisory board of Stichting Monumentenzorg to address to you this afternoon on behalf of our Stichting Monumentenzorg Curaçao. That's quite a mouthful, so allow me in the rest of my my presentation to refer to Monumentenzorg. For us, this event could not have come at a better moment, as we are in the final stages of reshaping the organization towards a new, more investment and commercial-oriented future. Being a non-profit organization, that is quite a change. And what that means in practice is what I want to share with you all today. But to do so, it's important to first take a couple steps back into the history of Monumentenzorg, because this will explain and hopefully for some even justify the message that I'm about to convey to you. So first, some history. Monumentenzorg was founded in 1954 with the main purpose of restoring and maintaining our built heritage. It was founded by a group of local and Dutch businessmen who wanted to save Landhuis Brievengat, which was at that time really in a deplorable state, from the Shell demolition hammer. Shell was the owners of the land house, and Shell said, let's get rid of it because we have better things to do with that land. But fortunately, they succeeded with a large donation and some government subsidies. And after that, the Stichting, the foundation, was born. And under the first chairman, Frans Karner, they went on to buy more monumental buildings that were in bad shape and started restoring them. They were the first ones doing so in the Dutch Caribbean. Therefore, I think you can say that Monumentenzorg can be seen as the absolute pioneer in taking care of our built heritage and restoring many of the monumental old buildings Curaçao has. And I think you've seen them on nice pictures before, and you can see them in our inner city. And of course, funding of these projects was always a major challenge. But Frans was a banker, and he and the members of the board were good at raising funds from the local government and institutions, but especially from the Dutch. And raising funds from the Dutch was much easier. Not only because they had more money, but also, and more so, because contrary to our own community, the awareness of the cultural historic value of our built heritage was already much stronger in the Netherlands at that time. So France's successors, Jaap Schildkamp, Jackie Vogels, Jaime Saleh, and Marcel van der Planck did exactly that, raising money by looking for subsidies. And they were able, over the years, to increase the number of objects in our possession to almost 130 objects. Most of them generating rental income and a healthy, practically debt-free balance sheet. Here I must also add that quite some objects were given in long lease by the then Eilandgebied Curaçao. And I think that was a win-win situation there, because the Eilandgebied sometimes did not know really what to do anymore with those monuments. And the Monumentenzorg said, give them to me, I will raise them, I will care for them as if they were my babies, and will look after them. And all that time, and I'm talking now about the period until at least the end of the 90s, practically nobody was historically or commercially interested in buying a monument, simply because they had no commercial value. Also that you've seen in a lot of pictures. The objects themselves were mostly in bad physical shape. Their neighborhoods were often degraded. And I'm sure many of you remember, for example, the state Coral Agostini, what's nowadays the beautifully located Gouverneur restaurant, was in the 80s. Nobody was interested in the place when it came up for sale. It took courage from Monumentenzorg, some local businessman, and a Dutch bar owner to give it back its historical grandeur. To make a long historical story short, monuments for a long time had little market value, and the vast majority of the 130 objects now owned by Monumentenzorg were at least partly, but in many cases, fully funded by governmental, especially Dutch governmental subsidies. And it was this historical concept, ladies and gentlemen, that led to the policy, or even the iron rule of Monumentenzorg, which was Monumentenzorg properties are not for sale. And from an ethical point of view, it made sense. You don't sell something that was given to you for free, right? But also, why sell something you consider very valuable when there's nobody who wants to pay for it? And on top of that, why sell and generate funds with selling and getting the income if you have enough funds coming from government subsidies? So from a historical perspective, it's understandable and justifiable that Monumentenzorg's policy has always been, our objects are not for sale. And I think we could have gone on forever with this business model of buying, restoring, renting out. However, as we all know, nothing lasts forever. Fast forward to 10-10-10, the 10th of October 2010, when Curaçao became an autonomous country within the kingdom. One of the results of that is that the generous Dutch flow of subsidies came to an end. So just like Curaçao, all of a sudden, Monumentenzorg had to stand on its own feet financially. And at the same time, the commercial and public interest for monuments had increased rapidly, with Pieter Maai, where we're now standing, as a great example, and it's been mentioned already, and there are many more examples. The market is taking over the restoration and the purchasing of monuments, luckily. So there's now, you can say, a healthy and growing commercial market for monumental objects. So you could say the world has changed. And I guess it took us some time to realize that. We came to realize that by simply continuing to do what we'd always done, we will not generate enough funds to continue to fulfill our mission. Revenues from rent will cover maintenance, property taxes, getting higher and higher, and management expenses, but will never be enough to cover the high investments needed to buy and restore new monuments in the long term. Continuing on the same path would therefore mean that we would in time slowly but surely become less relevant for society. Or like we say in Dutch, stilstand is achteruitgang. And at the same time, we started to ask ourselves the question, Do we not have a moral obligation to put all the subsidies that were given to us so generously in the past to work? And therefore, last year, after a strategic reorientation, we reconfirmed our organization's purpose with a new mission statement, and we came up with a 4-pillar long-term strategic plan. I'm not going to bother you with all the details of this plan, but it clearly lays out the direction of the organization for the next couple of years in terms of how we will position ourselves as a technical-oriented, innovative, more commercially focused organization, but also in terms of how do we want to grow and generate funds, which is by now, among others, through more active buying and selling of our monumental objects. So yes, you can say Monumentenzorg did away with its golden rule, its iron rule. Contrary to the past, we're now willing to actively trade many of our objects. Not to make nice profits, but only and strictly to be able to reinvest the revenues in new to be bought monuments to be restored. Still driven only by our idealistic purpose of restoring and maintaining our built heritage. In doing so, we aim not to compete with the market. I think it's been mentioned before, the market is taking over a lot of what we did as a pioneer in the past. But in our opinion, the market will be more and more taking care of the restoration and maintenance of monuments. So our role, going back to the pioneering times, is therefore to take care of those monuments that the market is not or not yet interested in. And a great example of this is La Moda di Paris, a characteristic and historically very relevant monument in the Conscientiesteeg in Otrobanda. It totally collapsed 2 years ago during heavy rains, and we were finally able to buy it from the owners. I think given the state it was in and the investment needed to restore it, I don't think the market would have had any interest in it. That's where our role lies. And there are many more of this type of objects in, for example, the Stegengebied Otrobanda. Let me close off with a small disclaimer. Please don't think this all of a sudden that all of a sudden our 130 objects are for sale. Some of them, like Landhuis Brievengat, have special historic value, so we will never sell them. Many others are rented out at far below market prices and therefore will not be current. So we're working on a list of objects for sale and expect to publish that list in the beginning of next year. So there, Jefka, you have the start of your catalog. And even then, we'll to who sell. Buyers must be financially well off and reputable companies or parties. On top of that, we will include a perpetual clause in the purchase agreement with a penalty fee in case of maintenance backlogs. Whoa. And yes, that means indeed that we plan to keep an eye on our former babies, and we will enforce maintenance from their owners if necessary. All this to minimize the risk of an object we carefully restored and nurtured a long time, turning into ruins again after we sell it. This part may sound a bit uncommercial, and it probably is. But look at it from the bright side. All our objects are very much in original state, with original and specialized architectural guidance. They're all very well maintained. Is that the first buyer already? Was that? No. Buyers get professional architectural advice if they want to make changes to the building. They don't pay transfer tax, and maintenance expenses are tax deductible. And lastly, our prices will be fair. In short, ladies and gentlemen, Stichting Monumentenzorg Curaçao is in for business. Cautious, selective, and with a strong societal touch to it. But more than enough reasons to be considered an attractive party when considering buying a monumental object. Thank you.
Herbert, if I may ask you one question. You are talking about, starting up some sort of catalog and putting several rules contract, for example, the maintenance needs to be done by the new owners. And if they don't do it, you'll make sure that it happens. Are you seeing a future of lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit because of this?
No, it's really a last resort that we put that in that perpetual clause into our contracts. Like I said, I think the first line of defense will be looking for well-off parties and renowned parties to sell objects to. And I think it will have gone way too far if we have to go to court to get maintenance done. So no, it's only what they call in Dutch stok achter de deur.
Thank you.
I see so many great faces of people working very hard in this area. Welcome, Evelyn. Yes, and in that regard, I would like to give you the opportunity to welcome everyone for what is going to happen next Saturday. Yes, please. And I'm gonna check as well. You can come, please. I'm gonna check who will attend the open day of monuments on Sunday after they have partied with Evelyn. So on Sunday, open Monuments Day, I would expect to see all the hands. Okay, yes, indeed. And Evelyn, well, I urge you to share with us what will happen on Saturday, because I can say that that is a direct result of what started out in the first Invest in Willemstad, right?
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much, Jeffka. Good afternoon, Curaçao, I would say. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Indeed, Waterford Plaza. I think we are standing here after 2 years that APC bought the property, Waterford Plaza, the former Plaza Hotel, as we all know it. And we bought it and we all thought, okay, should we do it? But I can tell you, it has been a journey. And it is with honor that I can share this afternoon with you. Last Monday, we have handed over to Minister Cooper, VVRP, the master plan of Waterford Plaza. We are... Oh yes, it is official. We are very, very proud to announce it. And it's going to be a, let's say, multifunctional project with a little bit, of course, apartment, boutique hotel, but also culture, art. Let's say we're going to give back to Punda, because we have seen Pieter Mai, Otra Banda, we have seen Scharlo doing a great job there. We are also involved as APC at the wharf, but Punda, wait for it to happen. And to start with the placemaking, because we're starting with the placemaking this Saturday, you're all invited. We will have Road to Plaza, what we call Road to Plaza, together with Kaya Kaya. I don't have to introduce Kaya Kaya to you. I mean, you all know what Kaya Kaya did at Serie Otra Banda. So we would like to welcome you all. And it's going to be a great event with a lot of, let's say, culture. Let's say going back in time, nostalgie naar vroeger. Somebody told me Kaf de Neptune. I mean, it's way back before my time. But it's going to be great. You guys are more than welcome. We invite you to be there and experience what is going to happen as soon as we get approval of VVRP. That we can continue. Bon, Jeffka, thank you so much for the opportunity. Bon?
Okay. Where is Rob? Rob, this is what you had in mind when you started out with a vision. And the vision was, let me count how much return on investment we would have if we would indeed invest in Willemstad. And it was about 1 billion. Yes. 800 million. So about 1 billion if indeed all these buildings that were sitting there doing nothing, not being used, if we would really do something with them. So yes, it can become true, and it's not only a vision or an idea, but we make it work. Okay, so the next speaker I would like to invite is our university man, if I may call him like that. He's an architect, he is a researcher, and he is also a teacher. Mr. Ergun Erkoçu, please come and delight us. He will talk about Willemstad, regenerative urban development.
Yes.
Yes? With you, Mr. Ergun Erkoçu.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Minister, ladies and gentlemen, on site and online. Thank you for this opportunity. I want to talk about the and more part of Invest in Willemstad, because I think that is also a really important part. So I do not going to talk about the beautiful architecture, the results we already see in the 4 areas, but I'm going to talk about the beautiful people that makes those locations very worth it. I was already introduced, work at the university, working on a PhD together with Wageningen University, have my own company as an architect, and also work together with 2 friends in Mente Caueta. And with Mente Caueta, we did a project in Otrobanda, and I'm going to explain what we did over there. Yes, I over there. Yuri Otete, economist, Juan Carlos Goylo, an anthropologist, and me, architect, work together within Mente Caueta. And we are all about regenerating cities. What is urban? Yes. Hello. What is urban regeneration? It's an approach to city planning to repair the social and economic problems of an urban area, improving the physical and environmental aspects of the city as well as the buildings. And then without the participation process, urban development has no chance of success, involving stakeholders, participation and intensive involvement. I think that's really important. So I'm going to talk about the method we used. It's actually a game. We played a game in Serie Otrobanda. We used think jams, kitchen table meetings, and we made a playboard. I'm going to talk about that. It was Play the City and the kitchen table meetings, a social interaction with the barrio. It was about an attitude, an open source attitude. Play the city games, create soft outcomes. More than buildings, contracts, or plans, they result in a process of empowerment, interaction, and rising awareness between the many actors within a project. So it's partly about mapping, but it was also playing with the people of the neighborhood. We defined, first of all, a game challenge. We engaged a stakeholder network, who are the players within the neighborhood. We identified relevant data that was already in the neighborhood. We identified the available resources. We made a design game rules and conditions. We built a game interface, and then we played with people from the neighborhood the game. And the game was that the different actors, the different players, different roles. So, for example, a minister was in the game. Somebody who lives in the neighborhood and has a grandmother that is really looking for social interaction, and the guy that owns a shop in the neighborhood could play the game of could play the role of the minister. So all the roles, all the people in the neighborhood were putting into a different role and thinking in another way about how the neighborhoods works. So the Barrio Living Lab, open-ended design. What did we do in Otrobanda? We worked in the hotel Kuralanda area. It's the big star in the middle. We have a lot of challenges in the city center. It was half a year ago. We have 135,000 square meters of regenerative urban development locations, and at the same time also climate change challenges. The water is rising up, so we have a lot of challenges in the city center. So not only these stars are challenging, but there are a lot more. We designed a top-down and a bottom-up process at the same time. So we had the game challenge, this part, the top-down data, and the bottom-up information from the people, the actors that are living in the area. We worked on a frame creation. I do not go too much into that, and we combined actually the two big actors of the challenge, that is investors on the one hand and the bottom-up initiatives on the other hand, and that came together in the middle. You see revitalize and regenerate the area. We organized an open house for the hotel Kuralanda to show what are the potential of the area. We communicated via social media. And we invited not only people to come there to see what are the possibilities of the area, but also what are the possibilities for you as a business owner in the near future. So we gave a sneak peek that evening, and there were a lot of people that came to that open house, and a lot of people also showed their interest that they want to start a business in the area. That resulted in a nice overview of a lot of different types of companies that are not common to start a business. We call them the Kura entrepreneurs, and they all had a different part in the whole area, and we give them that spot, and we also connected the needs of the one and the other with each other. So that was more the top-down information session about, okay, what do we want in this area? But on the other hand, we also wanted the bottom-up approach, and for that we played the game with different people from the neighborhood. In a playboard, you see it over there, and we make card stakeholders with a card with a task, so where the minister can be a resident, vice versa, and they all had a game challenge. That is the red dots. And we played the game several times, so everybody started in a different role and gave different information. So we make with these games a program of requirements, programma van eisen. That resulted at the end at some kind of master plan for Kuralanda, where there is a diversity of functions. Where it came out that there's really important to have a Kura garden and a podium, a promenade, an important role for the entrepreneurs, regeneration, a museum, and also an important role for the owners of the area to control the Kura area. At the end, we sorted it into a publication we were selected by the Stimuleringsfonds for Creative Industry within a subsidy that made this possible. We had the opportunity to make a publication about transitions, about how you can play these games and to pimp up neighborhoods, but think at the same time about the people who live there. And it resulted also in an advice report for the owners of Cura Holanda. And then I want to end with cities have the capability of providing something for everybody, but only because and only when they are created by everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ergun Ekochu. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, let's do a small summary of what we have learned so far. That might be nice because it's a lot of information we can understand. As the first speaker, we had Billy Jonk here, who's on the phone right now, but that's okay. He spoke about the ambition to host a physical meeting like this, a physical seminar with international potential investors next year.
And at the end of this session, we will indeed try to get some people together to start immediately working on this.
Exactly.
Yes. Caroline mentioned very specifically what we should do, but more importantly, what we should not do, so we can stay on the list of UNESCO World Heritage, not local heritage, not Curacao heritage, but World Heritage. And it has brought a lot of benefits for us, so we would like to keep it that way.
After that, we had Harvard van der Woude, Monumentenzorg, who just gave us a sneak peek in the plans next year of starting to maybe sell some property that right now belongs to Monumentenzorg.
And Kaya Kaya was mentioned before. And just like Kaya Kaya, Cura Holanda as well used the bottom-up approach and did that very playfully, playing the game with the neighborhood. And there's a small detail that I didn't hear in your story, but last year, Arjen van der Meulen was a speaker at Invest in Willemstad. He was explaining about the plans, what was going on with Cura Holanda. And if I'm not mistaken, today, everything is already either sold or rented out. Well, more or less, but just in 1 year, it can be that fast as well. So yes, people, we're onto something.
All done by local investors, Cura Holanda, local
investors.
initiators. Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, we have had the global approach, the bird's eye view, and now it is time to finally zoom in into the 4 different neighborhoods of the center of Willemstad. And first of all, I would like to invite with 5 pictures and a story behind it, Frampunda, Marco Chais.
Yes, we would like to invite all 4 of them. They can sit here and one after each other will be presenting their 5 pictures. So not only Marco, but also Jacqueline. Marco for in 1 minute, Jacqueline Seibald for Otrabanda, Marcel Dennert for Scarlo. In his free time, he is also director of Stichting Monumentenzorg Curaçao. That would be Marcel. And Max van Gennep. Yes, here is Max for Pieter May. So all of you will present your 5 pictures and then we will have a small interview with you. Daar is het. Okay, come. Marcel. Marcel.
Er is een stoel voor je.
Ja. Ja. Iets verderop.
Good afternoon to everyone present. Good afternoon, Minister Cooper. Good. I should. Good afternoon to everybody present. Good afternoon, international investors, local investors, and every stakeholder involved, both public and private. I'm Marco Chase. I'm here on behalf of the DMO, the Downtown Management Organization, and I will talk a little bit about Punda. My presentation or the pictures will highlight successes in the past to build on the future so that we have a city that keeps on growing and keeps on developing. The first picture we can see is of the Princess Amalia Brug, which was put there a couple of years ago, not too long ago. Punda is the only district that is connected to all three other districts. Punda is the only district that has waterfront on three sides. And being as such on the waterfront on three sides, there's a lot of potential to use the waterfront areas for the further development of the inner city, and so that the waterfront areas can work for the social and economic benefit of the island as a whole. So this is a picture that is not seen often. We all know, we all see the floating bridge open and close. But how often have we seen the Princess Amalia Brug open or close? So I wanted to indicate with this picture that there's a lot of potential for different companies or recreational potential to use the waterfront areas. One of the great examples of this is CPA. CPA has a master plan to develop all the waterfront areas, not only of Punda, but also of the other districts in Willemstad. So as I mentioned, so that the waterfront can work for the benefit of the social and economic development of the island. So this is another view that is not seen often. There has been a lot of development in Punda with regards to apartments. We also have a new addition of Elements, is a new building in Punda. And on top of Elements, they've allocated these square meters to be used as rentable square meters to create a rooftop terrace. Luxury apartments have taken note. Luxury apartments are also developing their own rooftop terraces for residential purposes. I have to say, these are not monuments. These are buildings that are not monuments in the inner city, so this can be done. And a lot of investors are looking into this so that even these square meters can be developed to be rentable square meters. If anybody has any questions, you can just stop me anytime. Speaking of waterfront and potential and building on the past, I'd like to thank everyone who was involved to create the Handelskade, the very popular Handelskade as we know it today. This is the best example we have in Punda of repurposing square meters. In this case, this was public property. They renovated the public property to create terrace space. This is a great example of public-private partnership so that we can develop the inner city for the locals and the tourists. So one of the other potential areas would be to include the Handelskade terraces to the other half of the Handelskade, as we see here. It's currently being used by parking. I think, and we think there's a lot of potential to develop this in other economic activities that will generate income for everyone and especially the island. This is probably my favorite picture of Punda. It shows a time where there was a lot of development in Punda and in the inner city. We can see here the Marché Novo, or as they call it here, the central market being built, as well as the bridge being built in the back. We can also see Vijfzinnen. Unfortunately, that's no longer there, but I found it very relevant for this presentation. So with this picture, I wanted to indicate that this is an area where highlights our World Heritage City. Because as Caroline mentioned, it's not only about the buildings, it's about the people. And this central market is where the people come together. This central market is where there's also public transportation. So all people of all neighborhoods come together in this area. The central market has become a melting pot of different people and different cultures. And this is what we want to highlight in Punda. This is what Punda is all about. bringing people together of different cultures and different origins, different thinking, bringing them all together. I'm also very pleased to say that the government, the Ministry of Economic Development in this case, has allocated 1 million guilders to the redevelopment or keep on developing the central market or Marché Noble. So thank you to the government for that. I want to finish on a high note. So this is one of the signs that indicate that we are a World Heritage Site. We have a lot of flags right now on the floating bridge that indicate we're celebrating 25 years UNESCO, but I think there's a lot of opportunity to have permanent signage to indicate that we are a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I think it's also important to showcase not only to tourists, but also the locals, the local population, so that we and the next generation can cherish the World Heritage Site. And it's not only from the people of Curaçao, but also the citizens of the whole world. So the only way we can achieve further growth and development in our inner city and in Punda is by working together. Thank you everyone for your time. Just one last thing, sorry, there are 4 districts, but 1 Willemstad. So it's important to work together.
Thank you, Marco Chais. I have a small question about this picture, and I have a question for all of you. Who knew that actually this sign on this sign actually means World Heritage? Who's actually aware? Okay, so about half of the people here knows that this sign means World Heritage, and the other half has no idea. I didn't know it either. So maybe, I think you're right, we can emphasize that a lot more than we do right now, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jacqueline Seibelt, welcome.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for having me one more year here. Otra Banda is like he said, we're 1 Willemstad, but Otra Banda is very exciting times right now with the development of Kaya Kaya, the amphitheater that was built. We have so much activity, a street that was dead and people used it as a toilet now is a new tourist attraction and a local cultural center. Due to the rain, we haven't done many activities right now. But as you can see, when we have the Kaya Kaya, they always leave it better. And the amount of tourists now that are walking in Otra Banda is incredible. So if we all work together, these things can be achieved. And I was very happy to hear Mente Caweta, the importance of having people live in the inner city and not kicking them out because it becomes too expensive. The whole heart of Otra Banda are the people of Curaçao, the people of living in Otra Banda, because everyone has some kind of memory of Otra Banda. It's like the beating heart of Curaçao. Where do you change it? Okay. So here you have buildings, the old that we need to fix. There's a lot of opportunities still in Otra Banda that that can be bought or fixed. Oh, sorry, changed the wrong one. So there's still Willemstad that we cannot forget, but we'll get to that right now. This is Willemstad, and I am so happy to hear that after many years of fighting with Carolina and VVRP, that we finally are going to get a shared street, a nice street with new lighting that they started putting, and like it should look like in Willemstad, in Peter May, in Punda, we will have it in Otra Banda. So the ghetto look will be taken away. This is the new West End. This is when it was before. Investors have bought this property and they will be creating shops and restaurants to add to all the new development as Curaolanda in Otra Banda. There's a lot happening in Serie Otra Banda. There's a lot happening in Frederikstraat, that most of the ruins have been sold, which I'm very happy, and they will have purpose for living and commerce. Also Cafe, this is a new restaurant in Willemstad, which we like to mention is because we cannot have only retail shops because it hasn't been working. So we need to change the bestemming or the what needs to be in Willemstad. I see more restaurants. I see more people living upstairs, more apartments for people to live in. There's a lot of opportunity here because there's a lot of buildings that need some loving care and some fixing. And that's about Otra Banda. We welcome everybody to come walk in Serie Otra Banda. You can always find me around and I'll give you a tour of Otra Banda. Thank you.
Jacqueline, one question for you as well. We're talking about Otra Banda. You have just spoken about Otra Banda. We have seen the beautiful things that happened there, the city Otra Banda, for example. But there's another part of Otra Banda, which is the old hospital. There's a great opportunity there, but it's also a great bottleneck, a great problem with the depth on the buildings and everything. How big of a burden is that in the development of the neighborhood?
We have been to different meetings with the CEHOS to see what the purpose is and what they're going to do there. There are different ideas. They have not made it concrete yet of if it's going to be a park or a hospital or students. I would like to see a bit of all, so that if you make it an old age home only or only offices, after 5, Otra Banda will die. If you put students in, you have people walking around and life will come back at night.
Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm a stand-in. I was not supposed to be here. Yeah, in the audience. This is Lisa Ye's De Wind presentation of Schalo, but she's feeling under the weather. It started yesterday evening, and right now it's pretty horrible. I understood. She's watching though. Okay, this is the opening slide. Schalo, as opposed to the other districts, is still very much in the infant stages of development. But I would like to show you some of the examples. But to start off, it also has never been really organized. And Scharloweg, starting at the wharf to Plaza Hoyer, is 1.1 kilometers long. So it's very hard to talk about Schalo as one unit. We have identified Schalo Abouw and the rest of Schalo with a couple of pockets, such as pockets of attention, such as Zwaan, Fleur de Marie, and then some infrastructural pockets. But having said that, we have created or revived the FRESA, Fundación Rebiba Schalo Abouw. We're right now just setting up a new policy plan and also execution plan for FRESA. Lisa gave me 5 objects or plates or pictures to talk about. This is the very first one. This is a painting, a mural by Francis Sling, done in 2016. Right now it's being revised. And what is the particular thing about this? He was living in a different neighborhood way out of Willemstad. And we approached him and said, you know, don't you want to create a mural? Don't you want to display all your artistic talent? And he said, yeah, let me do it. And Stadsherstel made this building available. and it became a really an acclaimed piece of art, a second prize in the Street Art of the Year 2020, selected from 170 talented participants. 43 countries participated in that, with a total of 483 pieces of art. So that's not bad when you score second position, and also best local artist and other. Basically, this is the mural that put Scharlo on the map, because Scharlo was also a no-go area. Of course, you still have elements there that need to be improved and which we're working on, all in all. But this is the thing that really gave it face. And from this, we approached him and said, shouldn't you have your atelier here? Shouldn't you start living here? And from the one, the other came, etc. And now he's one of the ambassadors of Scharlo, and recognizable. This is Plaza Herman Leiba, also known as Plintje Leiba, of Parque Leiba. This was bought 20 years ago, about 20 years ago, by Stadsherstel together with Monumentenzorg. And this is one of the examples where we said we need a park in the neighborhood. And so we decided to invest and make it publicly accessible and leave it as a park instead of developing it. We would like to see more of those initiatives, of course, in the city, but this is the example. And we're trying to do much more than we've done in the past, trying to introduce art, other activities. It's being used sporadically, but can be used much more frequently. Having said that, another initiative is the Barsjestraat 44. It's a watering hole, a bar, and it used to be a bar. And Lisa is the investor in this bar. She bought it, did the complete interior, and basically it's called Django's. Basically, Django is already the let's say one of the ambassadors of Scharlo, and has been living there since I was this, and basically it's the ultimate example of a young entrepreneur investing, making this accessible again. It used to be a bar, but by redoing it, making it more attractive for different kind of public, a much broader public, and not only that specific niche that it was targeted for. Come and look tonight. Then we have the Van Raderstraat, again, the ultimate example of young entrepreneurs. It used to be residential upstairs, 3 apartments, downstairs. Curadout was in there, an office space. Before then, Unidad di Barrio, another restaurant. But right now, we introduced 2 new, the Barber and the Broeders, both perfectly fitting, like I always say, the right blood type for the neighborhood. And this is a great success. And based on this concept, more of these concepts will be developed in the area. And then finally, and that's a little bit further down, is Luigi. This is also an ultimate example of a young entrepreneur. He started with La Vie en Rose. It was in, his kitchen was in Willemstad. And he bought this house quite a number of years ago, looked for funding, but said, you know, this is too expensive. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start living in here. I'm going to live in this place. And then with my cake money, as he calls it, you know, what's being generated from La Vie en Rose, he invests it in restoring the building. And so this is, I think this is a beautiful example. He also moved his kitchen over, and soon, most likely next year, he also, right now he's having events there, but he will also start selling his products from this location. That's about it, but just giving you basically the essence of this presentation was young entrepreneurs, not too large scale, start progressively, make it accessible, also from the part of monumentenzorg or stadsherstel with attractive rents. And by doing so, we create a neighborhood.
Thank you, Marcel. Marcel, also a question for you. There's a big project taking place at the Kleine Werf right now. It's called the Wharf.
Yep.
What will happen with Scharlo as soon as the wharf opens? It will explode the neighborhood, and also the prices of the property are going up. What is your expectation for Scharlo when the wharf opens? What will happen? What will the influence be?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I should stay true. It depends on the people who will start living there. If it's they're high-priced apartments, so it's likely that the investors in the apartments will not only come from the island itself, so use it for permanent living, but also for you know, temporary living. So from a livability standpoint, it is debatable, or it is better said, it's to be seen what kind of contribution this will provide to the neighborhood. So I hope the best. I've also said to other people, you know, this is the time we can introduce some mini markets and other functions like that in order to support the that kind of living or residential use.
But I have heard from people behind the wharf that the intention is to be very well intermingled with Scharlo. It should not be like the wharf is upscale and up there and has nothing to do with the neighborhood. They want to be very well connected with it.
Yeah, and I thank God I just spoke to somebody who bought an apartment there, who is most likely to stay here and live. So that will be a great contribution to the livability. And I hope that 40 others will follow that lead.
We gaan, dankjewel Marcel. En dan gaan we naar waar we hier zitten. Hè?
Ja.
Max gaat ons daarover vertellen.
Goedemiddag. Mijn naam is Max van Gennep en ik ben de chairman. My name is Max van Gennep. I'm the chairman of the foundation Pietermaai, Penstraat, and the surrounding areas in what we brand as Pietermaai District. I'm also one of the owners of Boutique Hotel Het Klooster and Boho Bohemian Boutique Hotel. A short update on where we are right now, the Pietermaai District. After Corona, Pietermaai District has been making a full comeback, and it's surprisingly how much businesses are still standing strong and continue where they left off at the beginning of Corona, which I think it shows a lot of strength and quality in the neighborhood itself and its entrepreneurs. And the foundation Pietermaai is doing everything it can to to help promote this area. And in this regard, we have a few products. One of is the Pietermaai Pocket Guide, which we distribute at different hotels and mainly at the Hato airport, where we now also have a large billboard in the baggage hall. But our main new product is our new website, which is my first picture. This website, well, in our hotels, I encounter a lot of tourists who book their stay with us, and quite a lot of them, they find themselves suddenly in the most culinary Soho hotspot of the island, and they didn't even know they was here. They felt like, what's the area like? Well, it's the most fantastic area you can be in. But well, a lot of them do know, but a lot of them don't. And we thought we needed to create a website as a joint presentation for people to find Pieter Maai better. So it should help the findability of the district Pieter Maai. Not only does it show the abundance of restaurants and bars and hotels, but it also shows what is there to do tonight. So we made like an automated agenda. So guests who visit Curaçao and have their stay in Pieter Maai, they can just look up their date and say, hey, tonight is happy hour at one of the bars there. There's live music, which helps promote all the businesses which are here even further. To give you an idea of how many businesses there are in this little area of Pieter Maai, which is just actually a few streets, we're packed with the best restaurants, the most cutest hotels, and lots of nice bars. Just to show you how much there is, it's full. Hence we call it Pieter Maai's district. We also call it the culinary district. Now, not only restaurants are known in Pieter Maai, but we were also very much known for the events that we hosted here in Pieter Maai. Now, that took quite a hit during Corona, of course. The events are making a comeback as well. So here we see a picture of the last King's Day, which was a fantastic event. It was very popular, and it was the first time that people all got together in close encounters and enjoy partying together, which is really good. It was right here in the Willemstad. And right now we are organizing the Christmas fair, which actually next Saturday, the 3rd. So be sure to check that out. It's very, very nice. Also, we are trying to get New Year's Eve back on the road. So we're planning that. More about that in later news. For my 4th picture, I want to show you well, my work, actually. It's Hotel Closer, Boutique Hotel Closer. It is a fine example of a monument turned to business. The Closer was renovated in 2007, and in 2019 it was awarded the Ernest Vogts Award, handed out from the Stichting Monumentenzorg, Curaçao, for best exemplary restoration and preservation, which of course we are very proud of. The next picture is of the old school, the Albertus College. Recently, these same owners, as Boutique Hotel at Closer, they acquired the Albertus College. Now, in history, het Closer, it housed the Fraters van Tilburg. They used to house the Fraters from Tilburg, and they teach children at the Albertus College. And both were in ownership of the DOC's, the Bisdom van Curaçao, which of course still has the Cathedral of Pieter Maai, which is, you can see it right there in the photo. It's a great building, but it's somehow weirdly, most of the time it gets overlooked. It's a small area in the neighborhood who could use some love and attention, and that's what we are planning to give it. At this point, we are in the very early stages of developing a new hotel at where now is the old school of the Albertus College. And our goal is not only to lift the college itself, but to take a hint and look for the direct surrounding area. We would love to create a harmony with the surrounding history, which of course as Hotel Closer, but also the Cathedral of Pieter Maai. Well, the coming months we'll be starting the conversation with the government, of course, and different groups that are able to help and advise us in reaching these common goals. I hope I was able to give you a small insight in what Pietermaaie is and what an enormous asset Pietermaaie district is for Curaçao. Thank you.
Thank you. Amongst, of course, a question for you as well, for interested investors that are looking for opportunities. What opportunities are there still for new investors that want to invest and develop parts of Pietermaaie? Because so much has already been developed the past 15 years. And I think this is one of the last opportunities that is going on right here. And the properties that are not developed right now often have difficult, several owners living in several places do not want to sell or are unable to be found. What possibilities are there still in Pietermaaie? Are there still possibilities, or is it finished? Is it done?
Well, I think there are still a lot of possibilities. Every lot that you see is not beautiful yet. It's a possibility. It needs attention. And I think there's still those going on, and there's still those lots that they are looking for investors. There are people that don't want to invest themselves, maybe, but I think they should look for maybe a younger generation that is able to put in the energy and the effort and try to make a collaboration of these parties.
But so many properties already look nice.
Luckily, yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Four districts, one city. Yes, and we want to find investors for all the four districts for one city. And what we saw on many levels gives us hope, because especially the people who started out 4 years ago, the stories were different. Many things have happened. Sometimes we get a feeling that nothing happens on Curaçao, but many things have happened in just a few years. So I wish you the best of luck, and I trust that with your commitment, your involvement, it will continue to develop like it has up till now. Thank you so much.
Yes. This one.
Yes, Martin, we see many people in the public that we would like to pick their minds. We need to find out a few things about the upcoming developments of what they think of what they have seen here. But I will start out with the minister. I would like to ask him to come forward so we can just simply ask him. You were here, you were at Invest in Willemstad last year as well.
Yes.
So you know what you said last time, you know what you would like to share with us today. But first of all, what do you think of what you have seen on the program up till now?
I think we are on the right track. We see a lot of interest of people who want to invest in Willemstad. We see it all in our daily job. We have a lot of work, a lot of permits that have been submitted to renovate new buildings. One of them is actually right here. It will come up a very big hotel. That is one coming up. I think next year will be, this after a long time, because I entered politics, I think about 1995. And at that time, there was Yoshi. Remember that? There were people living there, and they were taken by force to go. We built house. The government at that time built houses near Chachi Ballpark there in what do you call that? Santa Rosa.
Yes.
There in Limburg there. So after a long time, finally, the permits have been submitted. The permits. So we are analyzing those. So we will get a very great project there, but also small projects that we are seeing popping off. I myself is concerned, and we have put it also in our agreement, the government agreement between the two parties, that we have to go by law to force owners of buildings, monumental buildings, which do not do anything of nothing with it, with those buildings, and they are deteriorating, causing danger for local people who walk there or pass by there. And I think we have to go change the law to force them. And that is written. We have it signed, and we are very open. You guys which are here, help us come with the law. I know that there are certain law in other places, other countries, that if you do not do anything with a lot, let's say a greenfield lot or a building deteriorating, that you will be penalized per month or per year that you do not do anything with the building. If you guys have experience with that, come and help the government to put that law in place. I'm very open to that. That is one thing I want to let clear here. Also, we have to respect the law. And I'm going to say something very delicate, because it will put the government in very bad shape. What happened at Scuba Lodge should not happen anymore on Curacao, because it will know what you're going to do with something like that. It is there. If you leave it stand, then they will ask how many money you get under the table because you leave it there. If you go and act against it, then you may do more damage to the nature underwater. So that is the bad spot, that someone who does not respect the permit that he or she got to do certain thing on Curacao will put the government in very bad position. And that I hope you as invest in Willemstad, you got the permit, stick on what is in the permit. That is the message I want to leave at.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Minister. Minister, can you please stay with us for a few seconds more? I would like to check in the public if someone has a very important question that he or she would like to ask the minister. 1 second, Mr. Babu.
I
Yes.
really wanted to know what is going to happen with the government building at the Concordia Straat. That's standing there for 12 years now on a very important location, and the government doesn't do anything about it. I want to know what is going to happen with the public library, which is a very important building in the center of Schalo, which has been abandoned. And we are very afraid that the situation will not improve and that the building is going to be, how do you say that, a victim of decay.
Thank you, Mr. Lobo.
Yes, the second one, I cannot tell you what is going to happen because the library is not yet, let's say, bring back in the territory of the government. It is still from that foundation. So that I cannot tell you at the moment what can be done or will be done with that. But the first one, for sure, I came in as minister, and on the table was an agreement between APC with, at that time, Mrs. Alkalawale, that should be renovated and let's say APC would have bought it, renovated, and then reach an agreement that the Ministry of Education will go there and let's say operate from there. But for I don't know which reason that didn't go forward. And at the moment, that same ministry from now with another minister is fighting with another ministry, which is SOA from Mrs. Larmoni Cecilia, because both want to renovate it to go with that ministry in that. So what I'm telling you, that as soon, let's say maybe we will use 2023, this the common year, to renovate it, so that maybe in 2024, one of those two ministry will be there. That will going to happen concrete with that building.
Thank you, Minister.
Any more questions?
More question? Okay. More
Right.
questions?
Well, I have a question. I have two questions actually. First of all, which hotel chain is coming on that beautiful piece of land there by the water?
I think I saw one of the developers was here in the beginning, but it's not. Mr. Kibbelar is here or not? He just. Oh. I think it is a Marriott chain. A signature of Marriott will come there.
Okay. And my other question is, you spoke about the law. Leipa un, leipa tur. You are really strong. You feel really strong about that, but you are also a man experienced in politics. And if you set up a law where people have to maintain their buildings, some building owners can be influential people, people who have some saying, some connections left and right. So it might be more difficult for them to let them follow the rules than for other people. Will you be super strict with everybody abiding
you
the
don't
law?
know me then.
I'm asking you so we know for sure in the future. Just
you don't know me then. I'm a man that we will go by the law, and I don't care if you have a lot of money or you have no money. Law is law, and everyone should abide by the law.
okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Newton.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Michael Newton. I have a statement and a question to the minister. I'm very glad to hear that he wants to enforce empty building, owners of empty buildings to do something, so that they do something with the buildings and they don't be a burden for the rest of the area. One suggestion I have is, for example, I know in Belgium, if you have your building empty, every year your grondbelasting, OZB-belasting over here, gets higher and higher and higher. So at a certain moment, it will be more interesting for you to do something than pay that higher OZB-belasting. Again, that's one of the possibilities. There are much more, but again. Another thing is we are all here with investors, the NGOs. And the thing is that I think that the government at this moment is the weak chain in developing the inner city. There's a lot being done by investors. We just heard them over here. The NGOs, Stichting Monumentenzorg, but also Monumentenfonds is doing a lot. But the enforcement of to have people doing something or give permits by the government is often a problem, takes time. And most of the time I hear, well, we don't have the people. We don't have the money for the people. We need the civil servants, the ambtenaren, to do so. We just heard from Rob van den Berg that the return of investment of the inner city, if we do it right, is about 800 million guilders. So the return of investment, if you look at the return of investment, you should make your priorities as the government. Say, okay, in the city can be such a economic motor that we should put our investments in government, for example, civil servants and your departments and things like that, look at it more so that the investments in the government is done, that the public sector of the private sector can function more easily. So that's.
I know where you're going, and I have your answer for you also. You are right, but a government have 9 ministry, and every ministry can put let's say a summation, make let's say the numbers that they're very, very important. So each of them need people in their ministry. So if you go by there, you won't get that all priority will go in Willemstad or in VVRP, because then another ministry will go, hey, you know, education is the first thing that we all have to give our children. So every money should go in education. So then it will be, you know, a back and forth fighting between the 9 ministry. But what we did, okay, with the people, with let's say not much people that we have in our ministry, what we can do to be as effective as possible. And then we will say to the investors, we have certain people on the island. You is one of them, and we have used your expertise also, that we link the investors with people like you, and they will pay you for your job. But then your output is an input for us, and then you did half of the work, or maybe 3/4 of the work for us as a VVRP.
So like a PPP.
Kind of. So we have people like Michael Newton, we have people like Rein Karsdorp, we have people like Zaria, we have people like Katie. So we have certain professionals which is not part of the government, but they are doing a great job for us by when we link them to the investor, and then they will produce an output that will be an input, and we all gain time. Maybe the investor will put some money extra in those people, but then they will gain a lot of time back. So that is the way that we manage still to have project getting their permits. And I tell you, there is a lot of project coming up. And this week, I think, yes, this week we are going to give a lot of permits out, but not in Willemstad, but more outside. For example, the one is Via Nova project in, and also the one Pearl of the Caribbean that is more at the east side of Curacao. So we have a lot of projects coming up.
Mr. Cooper, I think the 4th of December will be a very nice day to celebrate also something about Cinelandia. Is there any news that we can bring along during our celebration this year about Cinelandia? Because this is a very monumental monument.
Yeah, you know, let me try to answer you. I think Cinelandia has its time. And I think the government was right in giving the permit to demolish that. That is my personal opinion. Yeah, there are people who went to court and the court stopped that. But I don't think that Cinelandia is rescatable.
Yes, can be saved
can be
anymore.
saved anymore. So maybe we have to talk about a replica, something like that. But yeah, some people of my very good friend of Promo, yeah, everything has to go to court, and it's a pity.
Are there people who disagree with Cinelandia that cannot be saved, maybe?
There are some people, but I think
Can be saved?
we can I think we can discuss this and during our happy hour.
That will
because
be
we
a
are
happy hour.
We are finalizing the program. And this is, well, this is a discussion that has been going on for quite some time. I would like to thank the minister for
Okay.
his willingness to discuss with us and share with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to call 3 persons forward to ask them just a short, nice question. One of them is just standing there inadvertently. He doesn't know that I'm calling him up front. That would be Leo Rigo. Why Leo Rigo? Why is it you think that I call him forward? Because I see the banners. So why did you help this gathering to take place?
Trying to be consistent. We believe in the development of monuments, etc. in Willemstad. So,
But is there more that the bank does, or is it only the sponsoring?
finance projects.
Finance projects.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what we do. So we are very much involved, believe in it. So we will continue to do that.
Thank you so much. I would like to call forward Mike of Antilliaans Dagblad. Why is that? Because you have had your office for so long, back in the middle of Carlo. Why is that?
Well,
And
first
in
of
the
all,
monument.
this is not arranged. This is a surprise.
Yes, of course.
Jeffka.
Yes, that's my prerogative.
Indeed, we have our office in Scarlo for a couple of years now, I think 7 years. It used to be the office of MCB, and we have our office there, the newsroom, you can say, of Antilliaans Dagblad. And we are very proud of it. First of all, I must say that Stadsherstel good is a good, what do you say? Huurbaas, but in English, landlord. And whatever there is, they will always help. If there is any problem, damages, air conditioning, they will be there first of all. But it is also part of our image. And we are glad that we're there. And I think this is very important to continue to organize.
Thank you so much. And sure we will. We will. Thank you. And lastly, I would like to call forward someone who maybe not everyone realizes was at the birth of what is today Invest in Willemstad. Because what would Willemstad have been if there was not, way back when, a minister with a vision who thought we need to save the inner city. He sits right there, Mr. Jacques Veres. He had a vision, and maybe he can share with us what that vision was about, when that was, and how it was to see his vision being realized. What is it that you saw, what you envisioned, and what you developed?
Well, I don't want to take credit for something that was not really, did not really start with me, but I can tell you that the one that inspired, the one person that inspired me and kept me going in that direction was Lucky Bito. Lucky was director of the then DROF, what now is ROP. And he was the first president of the monuments, the Council of Monuments.
Raad van Monumenten.
Monumentenraad.
Monumentenraad.
And I was minister in that time that was between 79 and 84. And one of the first things that Lucky did was come to me, because I was Minister of Education, but also of Culture. He came to me with the first ideas about law for the area of monuments. And that first law that has my signature on it, finally, after many years, was passed. And but he kept keeping me on track. So another thing happened after I was a minister. I stepped down as a minister in '84. I went to Holland to further my studies. And when there, the government asked me to represent them in the UNESCO conference of that year, the general conference of that year. I was asked, and this probably is also Lucky Bito's idea, I was asked to present the idea of UNESCO helping us with keeping our city in its historic status. And at that moment, something happened. The Dutch delegation came to me. They asked if we could talk about it. We talked about it. We started a commission working together. We came to Curacao. Maria Ribeiro Peters was the minister, the prime minister then, and Mendes de Gouveia, the deputy of Curacao. We could convince them in one day that the idea of having UNESCO help us to get our city on the heritage list, that they said, okay, we'll do it. They signed the protocol. The protocol had a plan of 10 years. And within those 10 years, Monumentenfonds, Monumentenraad, Monumentenwet, the law, Stadsherstel, all those institutions, they were raised within 3 to 4 years. And that is when the big effort started and rolled out the complete project of having Willemstad that far, that renovated, that UNESCO would recognize it as a World Heritage. I'm proud and I'm very honored to have been in the commission that existed of people from Holland, high top experts, and all the experts we had in Curacao, of which Michael was one of them. Michael Newton was one of them. That commission could start this up and resulted in that in 1997, 4th of December, Willemstad was placed on the list. So that was a nice effort and a very nice thing. I'm very proud to have been part of that. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Veres. I specifically asked Mr. Veres to come and tell this because we should all understand the power that we have in our hands. And that power I want to use right now to, like I said at the beginning, to find just a few people who will help us using the whole year to work on the next Invest in Willemstad and make sure that it will be something durable. I would like to see some hands right now, but first I would like to call Billy. Where is Billy? Is Billy here? He left? Okay, because we know that the Chamber of Commerce want to be part of this process. CNEX, I didn't see Jeanette Bonnet, but is there anyone else from CNEX? CNEX, yes, CNEX want to participate as well. So we would now like to have either a few people or organizations to sit together and to work on a website so that anyone that now is watching us via Zoom can just look up what is there to be invested in and who should I contact, what should be the procedures, etc. Can I see some hands? I see one hand. Can you please come forward?
Luigi.
And on another note, I met the director of CPA, and he said that his organization want to participate as well. So we already have the Chamber of Commerce, we have CNEX, we have CPA, and we have
Luigi Squotto. Buenas noches, buenas noches. we would like to help with anything that we can help using technology, everything that we can do online, everything that we can do with our business. We are a technology company, so we can help with website, we can help with information, we can help with data, we can help with analysis, we can help with a lot of things. So we'll be happy to help.
So that's a commitment. And I think I saw another hand somewhere. And did I see someone? Yes. Is Marcel? Marcel as well? Absolutely. So that would be together with Juliet. Juliet, please stand. Both are from Stichting Monumentenzorg Curaçao. And they will form part of this platform as well. And Mr. Lobo as well. So one big round of applause. Because like Bailey said, next year, this will be an international invest in Willemstad, Martin.
That would be great.
Again, because it started out internationally.
And the possibilities are really big when we attract a lot of international possible investors, interested people. All right, it's time to wrap it up. Yeah, let's thank the sponsors. Vidanova Leorigo is still here. I believe MCB is one of the sponsors as well. Silent sponsor maybe. Thank you to the big brain, the big organizer behind it all, Rob van den Berg. Where's Rob right now? There's Rob. Rob, thank you so much.
Rob, come forward. Yeah, come on.
You're letting us host the whole thing, but you're the brain behind it all.
Happy?
Yes, and well, the idea is to have it next year, but then a real international event. So with a lot of well, people from abroad. So everybody who knows in China, in India, in Dubai, in the Netherlands, also the Netherlands, of course, and do invite them here for next year. Somewhere at in the beginning of December, the end of November, we want to organize it. And of course, I want to also thank Stephen. Where's Stephen? Because he's probably the most reliable person in investing in Willemstad. He's been here from day one and always there, and we up at night. So I mean, he's really most important person in the investment. Give him an applause. Thank you for coming here, and yeah, it's also a remembrance for Hans de Boer who passed away, because we both decided to do that, and we did it. And that I want to recall, we did it because we are economists. We love the island. We have been living here. We have a good time here. And the idea was, well, we are economists. We want to have investors here. We want to have people managing businesses, and that is good. That's employment. That's GDP. So we thought.
That's 1 billion.
So we thought, well, if we promote it and we are successful in that, we do our part in making Curaçao great again.